Well, it's that time of year again. We start to feel real happy. Why? Because we're not going to work. If you believe in Santa Claus and you celebrate Christmas, you're looking forward to Santa Claus coming down the chimney giving you some presents. It's a real good time of year. So in that good time of year, we start to feel real good about ourselves. So I start to feel great. So we start making promises to ourselves about, hey, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to do better in school. I'm going to be better here, be better there. But guess what happens? The real Merry Christmas happens when all of that noise is gone, it's quiet, and it's you against you, and now all those endorphins are gone. And I promise you made about getting up early and getting after it to go lose weight, study harder, guess what? It's a lot harder now. That repetition becomes a lot harder now. So a lot of us can't do things on our own. So find somebody in your life. So when you throw that towel in, they throw that back at you and say you're not done yet. Stay true to yourself, stay hard. People go, man, why are you so open and vulnerable? I'll tell you everything I lied about, everything. I'll tell you everything. I'm an open book. I don't give a The only reason why I don't give a anymore is because I overcame it and I beat it. When I was fat and lazy and insecure, struggling in school, struggling in life, people were giving me all this advice, trying to help me out. Well, I went on the other side of the spectrum. I lost weight. I got in shape. I started studying. I started becoming one of the hardest working people out there. And guess what? They still had advice instead. They had to say when I was fat, they had to say that I lost weight. People don't want to see you better than them. That's what it comes down to. You make them feel good about themselves when you're fat and lazy. And you make them feel like when you come from the depths of hell and you decide to make it. There's enough food and pie for everybody to eat. Don't have because he works harder than you. So I catch myself in the airport. I catch myself in the plane while I'm writing stuff down. Okay, remember this, remember that. And I'll go, hey, hang on a second. What got you here? This isn't what got you here. Slow down. Go back to the quiet place of that dirty mirror in that $7 place you used to live in. That's where you grew. So that's what I'm constantly reminding myself of. Go back to your roots. I'm not saying go back to hell. I'm saying don't forget where you come from. As you start to explode out of the gate when you become someone, my conversation is do not forget your roots. Do not forget your roots. Don't let this become so big that you lose yourself amongst the noise. And we think we can take days off. We think we have the right to sit back and give ourselves options on which way we're going to go in life. Am I going to run today? Am I going to work out today? Well, it's Christmas. It's New Year's. It's my birthday. Do you think time gives a that it's Christmas, that it's New Year's, that's your birthday? You give yourself two options. Let me tell you one thing. Time is running out. You keep on sitting around wondering what to do. You're just going to run out of time. So make sure you do one thing. Stop following the crowd. They may take time off, but you can't afford to. I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you going to make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callous over the victim's mentality. I always equated training to mental toughening. It always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things, and it looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I got to start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's going to build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't want to do that. So I made this long list of things that I don't want to do. And through that, I found myself. So you guys are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running over here in this golf course. So I started seeing myself very differently than the average human being. I was like, hang on a second. I have something they don't have. And that's when I started to develop these things through working out. It was this great, never-ending work ethic. And through work ethic, I developed self-esteem. I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it.
So I started realizing, man, I got to start facing the struggle, and I got to be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's where I started coming up with like, I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for like, I don't care about winning trophies. I don't care about winning anything. All I want to do is go the distance. And I found out on my own pretty much is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do. And that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. Start to armor your mind because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. That's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. Now it's like just a way of life where it gets hard. And the harder it is, the more you start to push back. And the more you push back, and then it's not right for people to talk about. It's not right for, like, let's say you are fat. I was fat. So I talk about it. And it was hard as every day to get up. I know what it feels like when you roll your fat ass out of bed and all you want is some damn cinnamon buns and chocolate milkshakes. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. But I can't want it more than you. And so many people just want it the easy way. I'm sorry, man. It's not. So what they start to do is they build this narrative of it's okay. When the narrative should be, you need to work harder. You need to discipline your mind better. We need to help people more than just saying it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Even though it's your life, if that's acceptable, that's unacceptable.
I'm not gifted. I'm just driven. So that's when you move from motivation to driven to obsessed. It's how you get through that on a daily basis. We forget how badass we are during that hard time. It's all on you. It's all on you. The self part is what's big. I'm going to make myself good enough. I'm driven. I'm obsessed. I want to prove people wrong. I'm a warrior. I'm here again today. I'm here again tomorrow. I'm going to be here the next day. Thicken your skin. Become more of a human being. Don't be afraid of the reflection in the mirror, because that's all you can be afraid of. Once you overcome the reflection in the mirror, you've done it. You're going to have to suffer, man. It's how you get somewhere in life. Motivation is crap. It comes and goes as how you feel. I'm not going to be okay. I had to realize I had to take a stand. I had to make a real stand. And it was painful to look at who I was, what the world and myself created. It created a very lonely, depressed, insecure man that would do anything just to have a friend. And I saw that as very pathetic. I have a way of going to a place like I did in that race, where all the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering, and I will take your soul. My job, what drove me, was I wanted you to go home that night after you beat the living out of me, and I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did. I wanted you to think about me, knowing that I'm comfortable being very uncomfortable. You don't want to break open that callus, that scar in your mind. You don't want to break, you have to break it open, let that blood flow. You let blood flow in your brain. You have to let all that stuff flow out. All that toxic stuff that you have trapped in there has to start flowing out now. So, like you said, you are doing this to yourself. Yes, people may have helped you get there, but that's now on you. It's a painful truth. Painful truth. Like all those people in high school and everything else, they don't know how you're going to end up. So you got to make sure that you constantly are rewriting your book. You have to constantly rewrite your book every day of your life. These aren't just words I say. This is how I have to live. Like, these are conversations I have with myself. And I say it everywhere I go. The most important conversation when you have with yourself.
There's a lot of quiet time. I shut out a lot of noise. I only have people in my life that need to be there. If you don't need to be in my life, I'm not about acquiring more friends. I'm not about noise. I'm about, okay, are you trying to go somewhere? You can jump on board. If not, I don't want to hear all your problems. You have a solution for your problem. That's what I'm all about right now. So I'm not about whining, complaining. I'm about, okay, we need to go this way. I'm big into visualization and also self-talk, but also like, where do I want to be in life? Where do I see myself? And then I start making these plans and how I'm going to get there. And I don't deviate from that plan. Because I realized once I was talking to myself the right way and all this wasn't in my mind, wow, I went from this kid who thought he was dumb, not successful, insecure, who stuttered when I first saw somebody, to a person who can now do all these things just because I now control my own mind. And I don't care. A lot of people say they don't care. When you get to the point where you really don't care, you become very, very dangerous. I'm not saying don't care like, I don't care if I do that. No, when you don't care about other people and how they view you, about how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, where you want to go with your life. You know, growing up, I didn't want to tell anybody I wanted to be in the military. Because why? Some of my black friends, I was afraid of what they think. You know, why you want to join the military, man? I was afraid of what other people thought about me. So now, when I go in the military, I didn't know you want to join the military. Yeah, I didn't tell you because I was afraid of what you thought. Once again, man, you're allowing other people to shackle your mind. It's the worst thing in the world. And what's funny about that, I often say it, on the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're going to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. Whole nother universe. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble and you're good for nobody. In times of suffering, what we do is we forget how hard we really are. Because that's what suffering is. Suffering is a test. That's all it is. Suffering is the true test of life. Is now where I'm at today. And that is when you finally get to that point for me, it's forever lasting peace. Greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You got to first see it. You got to first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I going to get there now? We are all great. No matter if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, or no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man, we all have greatness. You got to find the courage. You got to find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world and to find it. That sets you apart from everybody else. And that's what it's all about. And what's funny about that, I often say it, on the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're going to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. Whole nother universe. There's a lot of quiet time. I shut out a lot of noise. I only have people in my life that need to be there. If you don't need to be in my life, I'm not about acquiring more friends. I'm not about noise. I'm about, okay, are you trying to go somewhere? You can jump on board. If not, I don't want to hear all your problems. Do you have a solution for your problem? That's what I'm all about right now. So I'm not about whining, complaining. I'm about, okay, we need to go this way. I'm big into visualization and also self-talk. But also like, where do I want to be in life? Where do I see myself? And then I start making these plans and how I'm going to get there. And I don't deviate from that plan. Because I realized once I was talking to myself the right way and all this wasn't in my mind, wow, I went from this kid who thought he was dumb, not successful, insecure, who stuttered when I first saw somebody, to a person who can now do all these things just because I now control my own mind. And I don't care. A lot of people say they don't care. When you get to the point where you really don't care, you become very, very dangerous. I'm not saying don't care like, I don't care if I do that. No, when you don't care about other people and how they view you, about how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, where you want to go with your life. You know, growing up, I didn't want to tell anybody I wanted to be in the military. Because why? Some of my black friends, I was afraid of what they think. You know, why you want to join the military, man? I was afraid of what other people thought about me. So now, when I go in the military, I didn't know you want to join the military. I didn't tell you because I was afraid of what you thought. Once again, man, you're allowing other people to shackle your mind. It's the worst thing in the world. If I don't give you all of me, why the hell am I here? Why? How will you learn from me? People take so much offense to me. You will never learn from people if we always tap dance around the truth. We tap dance around the truth by finding the right words so I don't hurt you because you have thin skin. No, tighten up, people. It's okay. Trust me, it's okay. It's okay. What are you going to do now? They don't own your life. How are you going to control that now? How are you going to flip it upside down and say, Roger that, now I'm going to harness, and you'll read about me years from now. Some are actually born with some genetic freakishness. I was not. Don't forget the first 3-4 chapters when I couldn't read as a junior in high school, where I hid out, where I got beat so badly that I became afraid of every motherfucker that ever lived on the planet Earth. Everybody. I had to reinvent a human being. I sat at home for so many nights by myself, broken, not just physically, mentally, spiritually, mental toughness, strength, power. I'm like, I didn't have any of that. But then I sat back and said to myself, I actually sat back when I was fat, nasty, out of shape, miserable, and created a human being in my mind that didn't even exist. And said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that's capable of doing exactly what I'm doing today. And you have to, if you weren't born that guy, that mentally strong guy, he can be made. Woman, man, whatever the hell you are. It can be made. But in making that person, you have to be able to turn down book deals. You have to be who you are every day of your life and never care about anybody who gets in your way that said you're not doing something the proper way. Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today. It's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, you can't hurt me. I had this haunting voice in the back of my head. A lot of us have it. We just ignore it. And it was there for years. So I knew in the back of my mind that I could pull off this whatever I wanted. I knew I could. I knew that, but I was afraid of the work because I wasn't gifted with brains. I wasn't gifted with God-given talent as far as like athleticism. So I knew to get to where I had to go, to be on the same playing field as these men, to even try out for this program, I knew the work was going to be something that I didn't want to even attack. So I would just put it off. It haunted me. That's what I realized for myself was I wanted that comfort zone that everybody looks for, that pat on the back. They don't want to hear all the bad. They want to hear everything that they're doing right. And I realized that's what kept me in this world. That's what kept me in this world of not accomplishing anything. What I did was I became that big, bad, nasty that you don't want to walk into at nighttime. I became the roughest critic in the world on myself. And that's what changed me. The harder it is, the more you start to push back. And the more you push back, and then it's not right for people to talk about. It's not right for, like, let's say you are fat. I was fat. That's why I talk about it. And it was hard as every day to get up. I know what it feels like. When you roll your fat ass out of bed and all you want is some damn cinnamon buns and chocolate milkshake. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. But I can't want it more than you. And so many people just want it the easy way. I'm sorry, man. It's not. So what they start to do is they build this narrative of it's okay. When the narrative should be, you need to work harder. You need to discipline your mind better. We need to help people more than just saying it's okay. It's okay that you're not willing to help yourself out. That's not okay.
Is now where I'm at today. And that is when you finally get to that point for me, it's forever lasting peace. Greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You got to first see it. You got to first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I going to get there now? We are all great. No matter if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, or no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man, we all have greatness. You got to find the courage. You got to find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world and to find it that sets you apart from everybody else. And that's what it's all about. When you quit, your mind does this. Once you say, I'm not going to quit, this is the 40%. When you quit, your mind says, we're done. So it doesn't expand. There's no expansion when you quit. When you say, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm miserable, I'm suffering, I'm broken, but I'm not going anywhere. What happens to your mind is it does this. It says, he's not leaving. So we got to expand. We got to grow. We got to figure this thing out. So then these compartments in your brain start to work. They have to work. And then you start to engage parts of your mind that you never engaged before. But you can't engage it by sitting back in these nice chairs, drinking this nice water, talking to you, talking about what I want to do. So that's where the 40% thing comes in. It comes in when you're in suffer mode and you say, I'm not going to quit. You're forcing your brain now to operate on a level it's not used to, but then it becomes used to it.
In times of need, even the hardest person forgets how badass they are. So I've been through a lot in my life. When you're going through a hard time right now, you forget all the hard time you endured. So the cookie jar is a reminder that, oh, I can get through this hard time right now, but you got to take a second or two to reach into the mental cookie jar. You got to open up and say, okay, man, I was in 3 hell weeks and I got through 2 of them. You know, I was in Ranger School. I saw these beatings. My mom's soon-to-be husband got murdered. I saw a little kid head get ran over. All these things I endured alone. I learned how to control my adrenals. If you know how you get that fight or flight response when you get to move real quick.
Yeah.
And you know, I started learning the mind a lot, how to get myself jacked extremely fast, like in a horrible environment when everybody's miserable. I learned how to really find strength in the misery. When everybody's suffering, everybody's all poopy pants and their mentality's down and everything, I started just like, my God, this is where I shine. And I started using all that misery for tons and tons of drive and motivation to then lead people further. Because you can get a lot of power through misery. And once people see that, my God, Goggins is going, then everybody says, Roger that. Let me get my shit and go too. I started realizing that if you can just find strength just a little bit longer, you will have a crew of people following you along the way. You have to be open-minded to the possibilities that I can do this. Once you shut your mind down to the possibility that it can be achieved, there's no way it can happen. So that's why my eyes and my body light up about things, Because I know that if you're in a fight, you have to attack. You have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you. That's what I realized. I was never breaking the soul of anything in front of me. I started to devise ways to break a soul of a human being, of an object, of whatever's in front of me. If you keep on attacking something, nothing wants to stand in front of anything that is relentless. Nothing. To take great pleasure in the fact that no one wants to be where the fuck you're at right now. Great pleasure in that. It has to bring a passion out of you. It has to bring something very, very weird out of you, man. Like, people don't really understand what that is. When you're in the worst environment possible, the worst situation possible, and everybody's looking like, God, man, I hope this ends. And you see that. Time slows down and you see that. You're feeling that. Everybody has that look on their face like, God, this got to go. I don't want to be here anymore. And when I started realizing, I started playing mind games. And I was like, you know what? I bet these f***ers are looking at us, judging themselves about when they were going through Hell Week. About, let me see, I'm looking at Goggins right now. I was better than him. And I was like, okay. You're going to judge me, right? All right. So that's what I'm going to do to you. They tell you how you're supposed to feel. You are feeling that way. I was like, don't let these motherfuckers tell you how you're supposed to feel. No, it's day one, motherfucker. This is hour one. So I was getting my boat crew all jacked up. I said, we're going to take these motherfuckers' souls. So when they had us doing this simple thing that guys were struggling with, I looked on the instructors' faces and it looked like someone had just with their soul. And I looked at my guys in my boat crew and I said, hey, guess what? We own space in their head. We own space. They're going to think about us tonight. We start fueling off the fact that, man, it takes 1 second of energy to steal everybody's. And then you have all the energy you need. That's all you need. You need to look at someone's eyes. You know how it is when you fight somebody and you broke that. He's like, oh God, man, I don't want to go back to the next round. And you feel like, my God, I can fight all day. I can fight all day long. That's what taking souls is. But you have to have the will, the heart, the courage to go that distance when you're exactly jacked up. You have nothing left to give and give more. That's the one thing I realized. I walked around and I put these people on a fucking pedestal. Everybody was better than me. So I can't tell you anything about me because you're going to judge me and I'm going to feel even worse than what I am. I had to remind myself of the strength and the power that I have, that is in me. It's just a reminder of how badass you are in hard times because, we just forget that bad time consumes our mind and we forget who we are. I visualize a lot. Always have. Always have, but a lot of it was very disgusting. It was like, woe is me. But I developed a reality that wasn't real. That's the thing we always do. We can have a great life, but we always build this reality around the one thing we don't have. So therefore, our great life, we don't even see it. We see the one piece of clothing we weren't able to get versus the amazing things we have. So we focus on that. I was the king of focusing on the one bad thing in my life. Everything bad, I focused on that. But over here was a beautiful reality of my life. Even though I came from nothing, where I could have taken my mind for the possibilities of where I can go if I work harder. That was all over here, but I lived in the filth over here. We all have this list in our head, this magical list of all this shit that we don't want to even do because it scares the crap out of us or it makes us feel like we're not good enough. We all have the list. So I had a humongous list of insecurities and crap. My dad beating the hell out of me and having learning disabilities, stuttering, living in a $7 a month place for a long time. I had all kind of crap going through. I had all kind of just demons that just made me just afraid of everything. And I designed this program myself. When I realized I had this voice, we all have this voice in our head. There's always this voice in our head telling us different things. And the voice in my head, it kept on calling me like, you're scared of all this over here. You're scared of this big laundry list of stuff, man, because your dad beat you and this happened and this happened. All these things that happened in my life, I wasn't facing them. Even though I didn't cause a lot of them, they're mine to own now. And the one thing that I really realized was for me to become a tough guy, and that's what I wanted to be, I saw myself as a very weak man. And for me to be hard and be tough, I had to start going over to that list, that scary list, to start facing that, because I knew over there I was going to find a whole new person. Because if I kept on doing the things that made me feel comfortable, I was going to continue being that same person I always was, the lying, insecure, fearful person living this nice, comfortable life of mine. So I just designed a very uncomfortable world for David Goggins. And in that world, that's where I created Goggins. So there's David Goggins and there's Goggins. I created Goggins in that meat eater world over there of mine. So basically, you have to put yourself in the moment a million times while I'm sitting here. First of all, it takes total quietness. We live in a world that's so busy and so active and moving so fast. Right now, I am sitting with Tom Ferry. My mind is sitting with Tom Ferry. It's not talking to Tom Ferry while thinking about, my God, I gotta order some more books. I'm sold out of here. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's the first thing about visualization. You must make sure to silence out all the bullshit of life, which is very hard to do because your visual picture has to be clear. It can't be like kind of in and out like a fuzzy TV. You gotta see it. It has to become real. You gotta take a snapshot of it a million times, put in the bank. That snapshot of me was getting that 4,021 pull-up knocked out because the record was 4,020. I visualized that over and over and over again. So I visualized success. But then I went through, that's the fun part. I have to do 4,020 pull-ups to get to that 4,021 pull-up. When I get to 2,500 pull-ups, my hands start to rip. Okay, I get ready for that. So I started visualizing, how am I gonna handle the pain? Okay, then you start visualizing, okay, my nutrition was off. You start visualizing all these things because you have to mimic it a million times, but I can't mimic 4,020 pull-up. No. By doing it, that was my big thing. I had to walk in, get the chalk. I had to see everything over and over and over again. And when I realized I had to keep that visual, that picture in my head for 17 hours. It took me 17 hours to break that record. So for 17 hours, while I used to be loud everywhere I went, I put these headphones in. Now, I never listened to music, but I listened to one song going the distance for 17 hours. It's 2 minutes and 13 seconds. For 17 hours, I had that in, and I just went here. And so I was able to visualize every rep. So I visualized my hand placement, making sure that felt right before I got going. I didn't ignore all the little pains. My hands got sweaty. Okay, that means I was aware of everything. That means, my hand's about to rip. It's getting sweaty. Wipe it off. Be aware. Everything. I was totally in the moment because of how I visualized everything. I believe in God big time. I've had this voice in my head since I was a young kid. So what trained me was that voice. This voice in my head guided me to the spot where I'm at today. And if you don't believe that you're here for a reason, your life will seriously hurt. And I start looking at my life and all that I went through as God put me here to go through this. And now I see all the hundreds of thousands of lives I'm changing by the hell I went through. There's a lot of power in that. So my purpose as I started going through this journey, instead of looking at like, woe is me, God, man, why? I started looking at it as it's the perfect training ground. You knew exactly what you were doing. You put me in every situation possible to tell a story that needed to be told.
To feel real happy. Why? Because we are not going to work. If you believe in Santa Claus and you celebrate Christmas, you are looking forward to Santa Claus coming out the giving you some present. It's a real good time of year, so it's that good time of year we start to feel real good about our service, so I start to feel great. So we start making promise to ourselves about Hey, I am going to lose some weight. I am going to do better in school. I am going to be better her be been are there but goes what happens. The real Merry Christmas happens when all of that noise is gone, it's quiet and it's you against you. And now all those entries are gone, and I promise you made by getting up early and getting after to go lose with study harder goes is what it's a lot hard now that revelation because a lot hard now so a lot of use can't do things no or our when so find somebody in your life so when you throw that troll in the throw that back at you and say you are not done yet stay turn to yourself stay